So let's continue on like this features lecture. The next segment is key points. Now, if I show you this image and I ask you like, what are different interesting points in this image? Okay, so you will say that, okay, I can see maybe a road is there, there is a bridge. And I mean, I can even ask you like your very interesting question. If you are at this location and you want to meet your friend, forget about like all these mobile phones, location sharing and everything. Consider like old days when you didn't have mobile phones. And both you and your friend are like familiar with this location, then you might, and you want to meet your friend. Then what you will say, you will say, okay, I mean, at this particular time, let's meet at some location. And that location which you will say, that would be something, it could be like maybe corner of the bridge, or you can say maybe close to like some tree which you both recognize. So it will be some interesting point, right, which you can easily identify in that location or in that spot. It could be some shop there, some building. So if you think about this, how it works is that location should be like distinctive. There should be no confusion. For example, if there are two bridges in this road, you will never ask your friend to, okay, let's meet on the bridge. Your friend will not know which bridge. Okay, so it should be distinct. And that's the whole idea about key points and interesting points. That's how like we want our algorithms to also operate. We want those algorithms to actually identify those key locations or key points and use them to perform whatever downstream task you have. Okay, so that's like a high level intuition. So now let's describe what these interest points are. And so it will have some properties. For example, it should have like some kind of unique texture, right? So, and again, it's kind of arguable like what interest point is. And there are a lot of different variations. We'll just try to cover some of those. Because this has to be very concrete, what we can do is we can define interest point as when like certain boundaries are actually changing abruptly. Okay, so it could be this point here. And if you try to think about what's so special about this point, which is not like in this point over here, let's say. So this point is kind of it's boring point, I mean, nothing is changing, right? It's just a flat surface. So it doesn't matter whether you are at this pixel location or this pixel location or this pixel location, all are same. Okay, so that's why it's boring point. But if you look at this location, this point is pretty unique. I mean, I will say there is no other point in this surface which is as unique as this. Because what's happening here is, you can see like this whole surface is actually meeting with like these two slopey surfaces. And then again, you have this flat surface on the top. So this is kind of, you can say, a corner or like a point of intersection of different surfaces where different segments are meeting. And I can easily call this like a very interesting point. Okay, so those are the points which we are looking for. And again, this is also interesting. You can see like different surfaces are actually, you can see different edges are actually intersecting. In this case, we have one more surface actually meeting at this point. So we call such points as interest points. And let's try to like make it more concise. Now, if you look at this image, this is a grayscale image, and there are different shapes present here. Okay, so let's try to find out like which points are actually interesting and which are boring. And the interesting points will be our key points. Now, if I pick any point like in this dark region, I mean, I think it's not interesting, it's boring because there are a lot of such points. There's nothing unique about that point. But if you carefully look at the points like which are marked in these red dots over here, they do have some kind of unique property. Something interesting is going on like around that region. Okay, for example, all these red dots on the left, you can see like it's kind of corner of these squares or these blocks. Right. Similarly, you have this this shape here. These points are interesting because different line segments are actually meeting there. And you can find like different structure at these points. Okay, so in a crude way, we look for these kind of points and we call these interest points. And these are like some sample examples. Of course, you will not have like these simple interest points in real world images. It will be entirely different, more complicated than this. But you get like the basic idea what we are looking for. Okay, where different like edges or different surfaces are meeting. Now let's look at like a real image. And again, this is a grayscale image. And if you try to draw the analogy, again, you can see we don't have any interesting point in the sky because it's kind of boring. Nothing is changing there. Same with the roof. If roof had like some kind of texture, it might have been interesting. But right now we don't have any interest points here. But again, on the surface, on the ground, we don't have anything. You can see like on top of the car, we have several interesting points because different lines or different segments are meeting there. Right? We can see something interesting going on. Similarly on the window, and a lot of interesting points on the tree because there are a lot of like short edges.